well, feeling swell, feeling blessed no matter where you are. I am coming on again. As I have said for these last weeks, I'm going to try to start making this more of a common thing. I don't know if there's a specific day, but I'm trying my best to do what I can, especially because I'm trying to do them outside. The weather's just getting nicer here. My little garden is starting to grow, so that's interesting. But today, I'm going to do a topic, like I said in the past, that I would do. And then after I talk about the topic, I'm going to do one of those lovely readings for the collective. So I hope you stick around for that. So basically what I wanted to talk about was our shadow self, the part of us that we try to hide from the world. And the sub-basement of the shadow, which is the deeper, let's say, triggering trauma that can also be associated with where these fears stem from. So I'm not going to say that I'm the best and most proficient, but when I have been a channeler for some time, delving into people's psyches, I noticed that there's certain things that people tend to have issues with, what I like to call life themes. They tend to be, let's say, 1 to 2, 3 themes. I mean, the most I think a human gets in their lifetime to work on, sorry about the AC back there, is maybe 3 themes the most. And that's for a very accelerated soul. But realistically, what a life theme is, it could be one distinguishable thing that you need to work through your entire life. Be it that, let's say, for example, you have a fear of being seen, okay? So let's say the main fear is being seen, and you will have to work through different people, meaning characters in your life. You'll have to work through different scenarios. It could even be long stretch for like 5 years at a time, 7-year cycles. So realistically, by the end or by the time of the cycle's ending, if you have done the shadow work according to what is your fear, the more work you do on being seen, the more the fear goes away. And the more the fear goes away, the more that shadow aspect of yourself dissipates. The more of that shadow aspect that dissipates, the more closer to your real, honest, truest self you become. So that's why shadow work is so important. A lot of people don't think it is, but the more you do this, it's kind of like when people say, like, why do we go to the gym, right? It's like, obviously it's to be fit, obviously it's to be healthy, but shadow work is kind of similar. The more of this dark side of yourself, and it's not dark like evil, that's not what it is, the things you're hiding, the less you have to hide, the more pounds, let's say spiritually, internally, you're shedding. And it makes you, in a sense, feel more lightweight. It makes you process the world a lot easier. It helps you with manifestation. It helps you just to breathe easier. Anxiety dissipates. So many things disappear when you start to tackle these shadow aspects of yourself. That's why I wanted to talk about that today. To talk about the shadow, to talk about the fears that constrain us, and to talk about sometimes where these bigger fears are stemming from. They go far, far, far back in our younger years sometimes. And I don't know how many of you believe in this, but they can even be from, let's say, generational situations, things that your parents put upon you, fears that come from the get, things that your parents are scared of, things that your parents projected onto you that you carry forward. And they talk about generational trauma, but there is also generational shadow fears that get put forth. You know what I'm saying? And it can even deal with things where, like, let's say if your parents gave you certain things to watch out for in life, and they've already kind of made you and fashioned you in a way and you don't even know it. By breaking down these parts of yourself, or what I would say, they're not really you, the true you. They're masks, they're personas, they're things that you have to put in place to not have to look at the underlying fear. So like I said, let's say the bigger life theme, the bigger fear is being seen. You will have certain situations that take place that have to do with being seen. But because I didn't come prepared with that idea, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by this. So I'm going to use one fear. It's simple, but I'll give you an idea of how this works, okay? Bear with me, y'all. So the fear, I don't know if you can read because it looks like it's backwards, but I'm going to do my best. The fear is rejection, okay? So let's say you're scared, I'm scared, we're all scared of rejection. And that's a normal thing to be scared of. So what happened is, like, for example, let's say In the sub basement, what I mean by the sub basement is where this fear might be stemming from. How do we get to the sub basement? It's by analyzing the causes or the triggers of it's the triggers are what let you know that this is your fear. More than the average person, more than Bob beside you, maybe more than Sally next door. It's the triggers tend to be scenarios that when you're faced with them, and they're little scenarios, okay? They're little scenarios that bother you, that bother you, that bother you, and you don't even know that they're bothering you until you start to see a pattern of them showing up over and over and over again in your life. If you see this pattern, if you see these scenarios happening over and over, this is a sign from your higher self that you're being asked to work on this larger fear, which is rejection. Let's just say, I'm using it as an example. So let's say some of the things that you're faced with, and I said they're little, so to notice these things is subtle, okay? Let's say you go to the grocery store, you look at all the lines, and you notice that you get in a line, and it's busy. Each line's busy, got 5, 6, 7, 8 people. All of a sudden you get to the front of the line and the cashier puts the sign and says, sorry, you got to go to the next line, right? You get to the front of the line and that's where you at. That's a form of small rejection that you face. This is an example. Another one could be, let's say you try to show up to go for a part in a play and you're really psyched about it and you want a part in the play and almost everyone around you gets a part in the play except for you. That's another form of small inflicted rejection. Let's say, for example, you're on a time crunch and you see the bus and you're like, oh no, if I don't get this bus, it's going to be another 15, 20 minutes. I got to run for it. You run, you make it, and the bus driver decides to just drive off anyways. It's a form of rejection. Let's say, for example, you look on your socials and you see a bunch of your, I wouldn't even have to say close friends, but tight-knit friends eating dinner at a local restaurant and you're not there and you weren't invited, but you're seeing it on your socials and you're like, what? These are little forms of rejection that there's situations that you wouldn't see blatantly, wouldn't be in your face saying you're being rejected, rejected, rejected. That's not how life works out. That's not how the shadow works. The whole idea of these little baby triggers or these little things that are happening in your life repeatedly, you'll notice, and you start to feel them. You start to go like, oh my God, what's going on? Maybe if you're doing a lot of this internal work, you start to notice that there's a pattern with these things happening to you. You start to notice that you get triggered by them as they happen. Things of triggering, and this is what I mean. It's different for you because if this isn't your fear, you're not going to get triggered. But if this is your fear, you will get triggered. You'll notice that when you're in the line, if you get refused, you're probably going to make a scene because you're triggered. You're gonna, or you could hold it in and then let it release somewhere else. But still, the point is that it bothers you. Pay attention to that. Let's say, for example, you're not chosen for a part in the play, right? Some people could be like, c'est la vie, let it go, you know? But if it's something that you're scared of, if rejection is your fear, you might give the play a bad review. Just to say to yourself, like, oh, okay, you want to screw me over? I'm gonna do you one better. Hey guys, hi. Wow, donated. Wow, it looks like I'm a millionaire. Or 100 here. I don't know what that is in euros. But thanks anyways. But okay, so let's say, for example, you want to talk back and you end up doing that. That's a trigger. Let's say, for example, the bus driver passes you and you're like, screw you, you fucking that. You just go off, right? You're triggered. Some people would just be like, oh, well, I missed the bus. Oh, well, that's it. You know, but some people get upset and you don't realize that you're being triggered by these little micro scenarios. And let's say the last one, getting forgotten for the dinner party. You might get angry, you might get conniving, and what I mean by conniving is you go and invite some people, and then you go have your own dinner, and then go take a lot of amazing like Photoshop and photo shoots with those people to try to get a rise out of the people that rejected you, right? Maybe these people didn't even remember that they did this to you. Maybe they feel sorry that they did this to you. Maybe they were under the impression that you weren't in town. But the point is that your reaction to rejection is one of, let's say, not positive. And if that's the case, that's the universe showing you that this is one of your fears. Your reaction deems the actions weight. If, let's say, for example, these things did not faze you, then that's probably not your fear. That's probably not your shadow aspect that you need to really work with. But what I was saying about the subconscious, okay, is that if you do start to recognize that these are your triggers for, let's say, rejection, right? You may come to the conclusion where you start to do that work, where you start to go, hey, I want to go to the sub basement. I want to figure out why these things bother me so much, right? And what happens is you start to need to go to the sub basement. And this can take a lot of time when it comes to meditation. This can take a lot of time of tracing back. You know, you could even take a scenario about your friends, let's say, and you can go back in time with that scenario and say, oh, have my friends left me out before? And follow the yellow brick road of that. Or if it's something about the bus driver, you can follow the yellow brick road with that. Maybe somewhere down the road, you got left at school, let's say, by a bus. Or maybe you got left at school by a parent. That's what I'm trying to say about following the yellow brick road. You don't know why these triggers come out the way they do. And following the yellow brick road to the sub basement of your shadow, first recognizing what these major fears are inside of you. Once you can kind of go, aha, that's what it is. That's what I'm freaking out about. That's why this bothers me so much. You can try to tackle the sub-basements, which is figuring out where the trauma started from in the first place. And let's say, for example, you were left at home alone when you were young and you were terrified and you forgot about it and it's gone to the wayside. Maybe you're 40, 50 years old and you forgot all about it. But your triggers are still present in your everyday from little micro actions, and you don't understand why they make you so scared inside, why you react the way you do. You have to go to this sub-basement place to figure out what it is that took place in you that got you all riled up inside now as a present human being today. Maybe your parents would go out a lot and leave you alone, so you felt abandoned, so you felt rejected by your parent. Or even maybe your parents started dating somebody that you weren't really fond of and they chose that person over you. These are the trauma links sometimes that people have, right? It could even be, like I said, the list could go on and on. Maybe your first boyfriend or girlfriend, or even farther back, it could be like the first dance you went to and the person you asked to dance rejected you and chose your, some other girl or boy over you. These little things you think don't shape you, but that is your first instance of this particular fear. That's when the fear first manifests itself for you. And that's how, when they say there's a trauma bond to a situation or a feeling, that's the best way I could relay it. That's the minute that your synapses decided to say, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of rejection. You may do actions in your day-to-day life to prevent yourself from feeling this. Like, let's say, for example, for being forgotten by friends, right? This is a micro action, but let's say, for example, you're overreaching with your friends. Let's say you're over anxious with your friends. Let's say you're always calling them and you're always trying to get in their lives because of this fear of rejection. Okay, so when they do something like this, like forget you for a dinner, you lose it because you're overreaching. That's the shadow. That's the false persona I was talking about at the beginning of this live. We put on the false persona in order to protect against the fear we have, which is rejection. Let's just say, for example, I'm only using rejection today to give an example, and this can apply to any types of fears. But then going to the subconscious basement of our own lives is where we find that major trauma, that first trauma, I'll put this down, that targeted that. And if you can figure out where that first trauma comes from, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because then you start to heal. And how you do this is by finding that first trauma. When you find that first trauma, let's say, like I said, if it was like being left at school, right? If you're good enough at your meditation, and if you're not that great at it, what I could say is hypnotherapy is great for this. you can be brought back to that place in time in your mind. Let's say, for example, going to remember what it was like to be that little boy or girl in this trauma. Or it could be as a preteen, wherever this hits you in your life. You can go back to that place. And how you do this, I'm just going to say the easiest way that I've seen for helping myself do shadow work is to bring myself back in time. So when you bring yourself back in time, the major thing you want to focus on is the senses. You want to see through the eyes that you had. You want to feel with your hands. You want to try your best to touch something in the memory you're in. Be it grass, be it another person that's there, be it your own shirt. This tactile way of connecting with the memory is very important. If you can, try to remember the smell of the situation. Like, let's say, for example, it was somebody who left you high and dry at a dance. It was your first dance, and the boy or girl said no to you and rejected you, right? Maybe the gym itself had a smell. Maybe it was BO from all the kids playing basketball earlier. Tapping into a tangible sense, let's say the smell. If you can taste the air, this is getting a little far-fetched, but I will say the closer you can come to tasting, touching, smelling, feeling the air, maybe it was hot that night, maybe it was cold that day, trying to use your senses to bring you into those memories is key. And once you can sit in that memory and relive that memory, and then but what you're doing is you're not reliving it as that little person. You're not reliving it as that mid-teen. You're reliving it as the age you are right now. But you're getting shown it in a third-person perspective. It's like here you are watching the little person participate in the trauma. And you use the senses to really soak it in, to really see where you were at, to really like fuse your consciousness with this little memory, your little person memory. And then you can see what was really taking place. And sometimes, like most times, I don't know how many of you have had this situation. You can even do this today. You can even prove me right or wrong right now. Think of a scenario, think of a time, a funny time, let's say, and tell the same story to your friend. Okay, the friend that was there. Try this out. And I bet you 9 times out of 10, your friend's going to go, no, that's not how it happened. Jim was the one who said this story. Or Bob was the one. No one sees the same scenario you do about anything. Anything. It could be like who parked the car right yesterday after work. No one sees the same scenario. So when it comes to doing the shadow work, when it comes to defining that sub-basement that trauma that I was talking about earlier in the live, please go back if you didn't see my board. You find that little trauma, you go back in time, you find your senses, you try your best to tap into the memory, and then you see it from a third person, from the viewer now that you are, this 40-year-old self, 30-year-old self, looking in on a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 12-year-old, wherever the trauma came from. You're obviously going to see it differently, because you're not in the same state of mind, you're not feeling the same feelings, and then you can have a more well-rounded understanding of how and why you felt the way you did. And let's say for example, because you don't feel the same way, because you have lifetime knowledge behind you, sometimes when you relive these memories and you do this type of shadow work, you notice that you're not feeling the same way you did as a child, and in a sense, or as a preteen, wherever the trauma came from. And you're able to kind of take the hand of that version of you and walk yourself through the actual reality of the scenario, minus the emotions, minus the pain, minus the suffering. And sometimes, and most times, when you find these trigger moments from the subconscious of the shadow, or the sub-basement as I put it. Hello everyone, I'm not live from USA, I'm actually here in Toronto, Canada. Does it say I'm from the US? But lovely to meet you guys. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm talking about the shadow. I was talking about fears that we have and how to locate them, and how our higher self shows us in modern day-to-day situations that we have certain fears. And when we locate them, how we can target those traumas and where they came from. So that's what I was talking about. And then after, I'm going to do a reading for you guys. So thank you all so we got Sak, we've got Nujat Plaf, sorry, Ryan, and we got Maria. Thank you guys. Thank you. You live in Vietnam, Maria? I don't speak any Vietnamese, so I'm very sorry. And you speak English. I feel so bad. That's not cool. I really wish I knew more languages. But wow, Vietnam, I heard it's beautiful. I have friends that are from Vietnam, and I love the food. Oh my gosh, Vietnamese food is mwah. I love it. Thank you guys for joining in. So realistically, going back to those places in our actual memory is a way to actually start to heal those parts of the shadow. And like I said, those aspects that we can kind of tap into, they are monumental to actually actualizing into our realist self, because our realist self is the one who was there before the trauma, the one that was there before the fears. Now, I did mention that sometimes generationally, people or family members or parents most likely can set these fears up in us, or these shadow aspects in us up from a very young age. And what I mean by that is, if let's say your family has suffered a trauma themselves, your husband lives in the US, I live in Canada, yes. Those were generational in the sense that you did not bring it upon yourself. You didn't actually go through an interaction or an action or a situation that brought forth the trauma. Sometimes our parents can bring that trauma forward to us, or tell us a recurring story over and over and over again. Like, let's say, for example, if it's like a family vendetta, it could be like, oh, we don't talk to the Borgeses because their grandmother 100 years ago stole milk from our grandmother, and that's why we don't do business with the Borgeses. There's little things that our parents may do to us when we're young that kind of warp our mind to believing in things that we never even interacted with, we never even saw, we never even had part in. And sometimes it's like force fed to us over and over and over again, to the point that we start to believe it, adopt it, and that can become our story in a sense. We adopt the story from our parents or even our grandparents, or the grandparents fed it to your parents, feed it to you, and then you may feed that same story to the children, your children. So that's what I mean about generational traumas or generational stories that might be tied in with the shadow too. How do you figure those out? Well, for example, I'll say there are lots of them when it comes to the case of, like, let's say, for example, I'll just give you one that my mom does, and it's just a joke. This is just an example. When I was a little girl, right, my mom always used to say, oh, you've got to eat everything on your plate because there's starving children in Africa. And I noticed, and I'm not saying this is a bad one, okay, because it is true, there are, but these are these little things that we adopt, and we don't know why we say them. And I noticed that when I had my son, I started saying the same thing to him, unknowingly. And then I started realizing, oh my God, I'm saying the same thing as my mom did to me. This is what I mean by generational, but I'm saying this in a nice way. This is a funny one. This is, I mean, not funny that children are starving. Please understand. That's not what I mean. I mean, it's a lighthearted one. It's not one of a negatory aspect, but sometimes parents will bring these negative aspects to us with those types of little stories that they feed us over and over again. So if that's the case, those types of shadow aspects are not really ones you develop. They're ones you just carried forward, and targeting them is the same. If you do find that those breadcrumbs show up, that you get triggered, like, let's say, for example, if it's something racially, let's say they tell you, oh, a certain race isn't good to trust, let's just say, and every time you go to work and you work with someone from the same race, you don't trust them. You automatically assume that they are a certain way. If you are someone who is trying to do this work, you might want to see if that's even valid. You might want to see if that's even true. You could start to put little things in the way of testing the person that you think is untrustworthy, and see if those things are valid for you. And once you do those little tests for yourself, you have to quantify and solidify these things for yourself, and once and for all, rid of them. That's the only way that those generational things can be stopped, because if they don't, they will carry forward. You will say the same things to your kids, and so forth and so forth. So with that said, I hope that sheds some light on the shadow a bit. I hope that sheds some light on the triggers, how our triggers are really showing us what we're scared of, And as we realize what we're scared of, when we challenge them, when we finally try to solve them for ourselves, dissolve them for ourselves, it brings us layers and layers of the self, the fake self, the facade self, the mask self off. And it actually makes our lives a lot easier to, navigate, to get through, because you're not putting on any arrears anymore. You're not putting on any faces or facades for anyone to see. And we have so many of these. So many. Like, if you think it's like 5, no, we've got maybe, for myself, I can honestly say I've probably broken down maybe 10 or 15. And that was tremendous. So like I said, in our lives, our higher self, our life themes can be broken down to maybe 1, 2, 3 things, 3 life themes that we might have to work through our whole lives. We're lucky if we get 3, where we could get through 3. Most of us have 1. You don't realize that your whole life purpose sometimes can be to figure out one thing throughout your lifetime. And you might be like, what? One thing? Yes. If, let's say, for example, your whole life theme is to be seen. That was what I said at the beginning, right? To be seen, to be recognized. And you've had to fight through those fears for most of your life. And let's say the time that you finally feel free to be seen is 60 something years old. And then you die by like 75. You only really conquered it for the last 15 years. You get what I'm saying? So then it's like you get to 65. Yes, you conquered it, being seen, but then you live 15 years, and it's the one thing that you've managed to figure out your entire life, and that is a success. So most people think it's like all these other things. It's only one thing. That's why I'm saying the shadow is those facets of fears that is contributing to that one life theme. So let's say, for example, your life theme is to find inner love, right? You might have to break down things like rejection, right, as one of your fears. You might have to figure out how to stop negative talking as one of your fears, always putting yourself down. These fear sets that you get given are made up to break down so that you can figure out by the end of your lifetime how to inner love yourself. To love yourself is not just a one-stop shop. You got to do several things to break down certain things that stop you from actually loving yourself genuinely, not just saying it, not just like, oh, I love myself, oh, I'm the best. Yeah, that's great if you say it, but you don't do it. You don't act it. You're still in bad relationships. You still take shit from a lot of people. You don't stand up for yourself. Those are real signs that you don't love yourself. So you could say all your mantras all day long, but you're not walking the walk of actually loving yourself. So that's what the shadow does. The shadow shows you all the things you're scared of, break them down, and then you start to know yourself a whole lot better. And when you know yourself a whole lot better, you start to walk in more of your own light. And when you walk more in your own light and your own positivity, you actually believe in yourself. This is a lifelong journey, okay? This does not happen overnight. You feel freer. You feel less heavy, and you feel less burdened. And it's a great feeling because you don't have palpitations. You don't have anxiety always riding your ass all the time. It becomes freer. The life you share with others flows better. And I don't care what walk of life you're in. That is what it is. Once you unburden yourself, it's like taking off bags. It's like taking off luggage. It just gets easier to maneuver, period. So just keep it as light as possible to try to explain things. So that's my whole spiel about the shadow. I'm going to do a video that kind of breaks this down even more. I'm going to do a whole set of them. But I wanted to talk about it in the live because, hey, why not? But I love you guys for joining in, so thank you so much. But as promised, as I've been doing in these last reads, I'm going to do a channeled reading for the collective, for anyone who's trying to catch the sun right now. The sun's like disappearing on me. I'm going to do a live reading for the collective here, or for those that might see them. Hi, Banana Split OC. I like that name. Hello, hello. It may not be for you. It might be for someone in the future. It might be for someone who watches this tomorrow, a year from now, whatever the case may be. So I'm just going to start to tap in and I'm going to see what messages come through. Usually what happens is I start to see scenarios that people might be going through. And if you are the person in hand, please just let me know. I do appreciate it. I've had 2 people reach out to me saying that these things touch them, so I just want to keep doing them because personally I am a higher self channeler by trade. So what that means is, like, usually I have people's names, I harmonize with their frequency, and then I'm able to get a whole bunch of information from their higher consciousness. Without those names, I'm kind of asking everyone's higher consciousness that wants to chime in to give me tidbits of what's going on. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take a minute. I'm going to start to chime in because I get all hyped up when I have to, like, talk out. So if you can bear with me, I'm just going to try to tap in and kind of calm down. So, but if you do have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, please feel free to message during the live feed. That's totally cool. I saw that some people are here and I really appreciate it. But yeah, that's how we get better. We all share each other's gifts. We all share each other's walks of life. We all share each other's moments, and we all share each other's messages. That's all we can do for each other in this time, is try to help each other in one way or another, you know what I mean? Because we all know that right now we all need to depend on each other more than anything else. So here we go. Please, I want to connect to the highers of the highest intent of any of the persons within this collective. I reach out to all my angelics. Could you please help me harmonize with any of the higher selves of the highest collective that are here at this time, here on this live? We'll be seeing this live in the future. Now, then, okay. Okay, right into it. Okay, Bob Jr. We're all right. Bob Jr. Okay, so when I get names, sometimes this has to do with, like, who they're trying to point out. So I'm getting the feeling that this has to do with a gentleman whose father has passed. Because, like, when I see things like Bob Jr., right, like, that means that the senior might be the one who's stepping in to speak to their son who has a similar name. Or let's say if their name is Bob, then they are trying to talk to their son Bob. Or if their name is Mark, their son's name is Mark, something to that effect. What? Tell him, okay, I know this is going to sound random, please, okay, I just got to go with what I'm hearing. Okay, tell him that Madonna's price went up. He isn't getting the figure straight. And if he doesn't get the figure straight, she won't sell at auction correctly. Okay, so what I'm getting, Madonna is not Madonna. I think it's a figurine. It's like as if I'm talking to somebody who sells things maybe for an estate, or they're going to be selling something for an estate. Let's just say your father just passed away and there's a Madonna figurine. But I feel like you guys do this, like it feels like maybe this is a family business, selling things at estate auctions or auctions in general. And it's like as if, like, this Madonna figurine would go for a lot more. But it's not, and it's like, I don't know why, but the father's making a very known, maybe perhaps because the son is taking over the business and he's ill pricing this figurine. But this figurine is very special. Bronze. Wow, like really dated and really old. 1192. Is that the price? Okay, that could be the year or the price. But for some reason, this father figure that's passed on wants Bob Jr., or whichever male sees this who has the same name as father, If he was Bob Sr., this is for Bob Jr., or if this is for so-and-so Jr., maybe Jr. is in your name and you're selling stuff of your deceased loved one, or you have an auction house and you do this as a job. Your deceased father wants you to know that the Madonna figurine is priced incorrectly. He has a handle. Don't feel bad. I'm watching you. Meredith too. So I get the feeling there's another woman, not a mother. Meredith could be your wife. Or your dad's sister. But I think it's all to do with this auctioning. I know this is random. I don't think I've ever gotten this before. Okay. No, that's it? Okay. The next one that's coming in is a Sandra. I see a woman in her 40s, 30s, 40s, smelling flowers. Who is this for? Sandra's lost her way. So this is specifically for a woman named Sandra. Sandy, Sandra. She's lost her way. Losing her way. Okay. She doesn't know where to put her focus. Okay, so I'm getting the feeling like there's a woman in the collective who's lost a lot. I'm not just talking about people. Maybe a home, a car, money, a job. Lost a lot. And it's like I get the feeling like if I was Sandra, like I'm very like, you know, when somebody goes to the levels where they just kind of flip, where not flip as in angry, where it's like they're melancholy because they've like, well, what else do I have to lose? Like, you know, when they just like, you've kind of gone to the brink of like so much loss that you're a bit spaced out because you don't know how to like center back down to ground. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing her smell flowers, like she's walking aimlessly, lackadaisically. She doesn't have any purpose, any forward, like you're not in trouble per se, but it's like if you do know this Sandra, if you are friends with her, or if this is your daughter or sibling or something like that, it's like as if the Sandra, she's got brown hair, she's quite thin, I would say smaller set. She wears a lot of floral printed dresses from what I see, and she's got like straight brown hair to maybe here, and she wears like little runners and socks. She's struggling, but she doesn't know she's struggling because she's kind of like lost it, like she's kind of snapped, she's past the brink. So this could also be potentially like a huge transformation for her, but she needs to kind of learn where to put the focus, because it's like she could go lackadaisically for a very long time, but she needs to realize where the focus is again, because all of these things fell away for a reason for her, so that she could be in this place to find her focus again. And I feel like she lost her husband too. Like she lost all of it all at the same time. And I'd say she's in her like late 20s to 30s. And if this is you right now, I apologize. Or if this is somebody that you know, I apologize. What's the message for her? been in and out of hospitals. 7 to 8 months. If you're a family member of this woman, I feel like she's on the street right now. Like, I think she was put in the hospital and then she was released, and people don't know that she's released out there, like, just kind of drugged up, lost, kind of confused. Where is she? I see her in a residential area, but it's a city. It's not a suburb. North Carolina. I keep getting like Appleton or Appleton, North Carolina. Appleton, like the drink, like the rum. Appleton. Someone needs to find her. Okay, I think this person has 2 brothers and a father. I feel like Sandra's mom's passed away. 2 brothers and a father looking that don't even know she's gone. Okay. All right. Okay. Next message. Sorry guys, I can't help. Let's just center this to the collective that's here right now. Okay, John. John's the next one. I heard the song John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout. So maybe that's significant. There's a guy named John. Now it's either your name is John too, and you admire this other John because he's more popular, or you're the popular John. I don't know why I'm being shown this way. And then I hear flashing lights. That song by, oh, who is that guy? He's married to the Kardashian. Flashing lights. Okay, so what this makes me feel is this particular John lives a very flashy life. Maybe he's in the limelight a bit. Congratulations, John. Or the John you're in admiration of is in the limelight. Okay, no, I have a feeling this is the John that's in the limelight. I keep seeing somebody show me a watch, like a watch. Like, I think it's you, John, looking at your watch. But the thing is like this timepiece is not only expensive, but what it is like it's this fear. And I feel like your soul feels this too. It's like as if you keep looking at the time, not because you have a nice piece. Like, let's say if it was a Rolex or whatever. I feel like your soul is experiencing this. It's like as if you're going to have a fallout. It's like you know you're going to have a fallout or something's going to crumble. And that's why in the last 6 to 8 months or so, in the last little while, you've always been looking at your watch. It's not because it's a fancy watch. It's just you have your soul. So if you haven't had this fallout yet, John, and you see this, the reason why you keep looking at your watch is because you know that this is approaching. You know this is coming. It's like as if whatever it is that you do, I can't really say per se. I know that what you do gives you money, a lot of money, because I'm seeing flashy cars, nice suits, etc. But whatever it is, it's got a time mark. It's only for a short period of time. And I think the message that I'm getting is that you spend so much time trying to acclaim flash, but you didn't actually try to make the assets stick. Like, it's like I'm getting the feeling like you didn't actually invest them, you didn't actually put them towards good use, or you didn't use them. It was more to build the flash. Hello, Pedro. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for joining in. Sorry, I'm just trying to remark. But yes, John, it's like as if I'm seeing somebody who's losing all their status, losing all their flash, knows that they're gonna lose it, like as if you even knew getting into this, whatever. Like it's like, let's say for example, if you're a celebrity, right, and you just got news that the show you're on is being canceled next year, you know that it's approaching, and it's something like that, like as if your soul knows it's approaching. You know it's approaching deep down inside, and then it's like you're kind of trying to take a look at your life and say, oh my god, like I spent all my money on houses, cars, flash, this, that, the other thing. But when this ends, and if there's no money coming in, I'm going to be completely broke again, or I'm going to be broke because I'm living this lifestyle that won't have the money to back it soon. So if this is you, John, and you do come across this, I guess the message to you would be like, you do have time to have this change for you, but you have to drop the flash. You have to drop everything today. You have to switch it around. You have to take everything, all the fancy things, sell them, put them into real assets, because I keep hearing the word assets. Assets need to stick. They need to stick. Need to stick. Because the same thing goes for the house. Yes, okay, you have a fancy house, but if you don't have money to pay the mortgage, or if you didn't buy the house all outright, then that's going to get taken away too. So it's kind of like, oh, and then I also see that you may get into a car crash soon that kind of amalgamates on top of this. So it's like, let's say if you get canceled and then you get the car crash, it's like the lawsuit takes you down as well. But that's only if you don't listen or take heed of the whole thing that your soul's trying to get you to do, which is to sell things and find a real purpose. Use the assets to stick. So I don't know if this is a John who just hasn't, like, you haven't really taken heed to like what the world and the universe have given you. Like, you've been given a gift, you've been given something great, and instead of doing great things with it, you chose to be flashy, you chose to stand out, you chose to buy all the finer things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now something's going to fall away. That's why you keep looking at the watch. You know something's going to fall away. You know the time's coming to an end. So if you preemptively hear this, this is your warning to change. And if you don't change, then the car crash is going to come and then ensure that it's even more brutal. So that's just a note to you. Sandra's got to come to peace. Okay, I already said that about Sandra. Okay, who's the next person? Okay. Oh man, there's something about songs today. I don't know why everything's coming in songs. So this is for somebody who probably just heard this song, somebody who really loves this song, or feels like they are a wayward son too. You know that song? Carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Okay, there's a lot of emotions in that song about lay your head to rest, don't you cry no more. So what I would say is that whoever this is for either really loves this song, just heard that song on the radio, really kind of feels like that embodies who they are, and they're probably going through strife. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, there's, yeah, I'm kind of seeing somebody. Wow. Okay, so you're single. Your dad's gone. You don't burden your mom, meaning your mom's still alive. Your dad's gone. I get the feeling like you're on a farm, or you're on some type of family. It's like as if you're on a family plot of lands or something, and you work the lands. But you're really tired. You work tirelessly. Okay, so this is a message for this person, if this is you. Like, I'm seeing somebody who does all the work, let's say on a farm, building the fences, doing all the stuff. You know, I see you in a pickup truck going to town, doing all the pickups, doing for the feed, the this, the that. The answer I'm getting for you, and I would say that the person that I'm seeing right now, you're kind of dirty blonde. You're really young. I would say like maybe late 20s. And let's say, for example, like this is a family farm, not just of like your family. It's like as if you have cousins and aunts and everything that also have claim to this land, but you're the one who works the land. So there's something about a co-op. Like I feel like you're not being able to maintain what you've got going on, and I think it has to do with the government. I'm not gonna lie. It's something about the watershed. It's something about not being able to hold up the costs anymore, not being able to get the right crops, something like that. It's like as if you're the one man show. You don't want to burden your mom. Things are not working out well. I feel like the answer is to do with a co-op. Like as if you need to take this to a different access point, where it's like as if I'm seeing somebody who hasn't thought of branching out to not just neighbor farms. Forget that. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that want to live on farmlands, let's say a co-op style or some, not a commune per se, but have never been farmers. And it's like as if they want to learn how to farm, but they don't know how to farm, and they want a plot of land, but they've never learned how to work it. You end up being like the person who provides this land to them. And let's say, for example, I'm getting Minneapolis for some reason. Minneapolis. Not that the farm's in Minneapolis. It's like, let's say this is a farm near Minneapolis. It's like as if these people are city folks who want a plot of land out of the, in this, I don't, why am I hearing the word the sticks? The sticks of Minneapolis? And it's like as if like these people, like let's say if it was myself, I live in a city, and let's say another 20 persons, they want their own little plot of land, but they have no idea what they're doing. So it's like you could outsource your land to these city folk and give them a plot of land which they would rent. You would make more money, and then at the same time it's like you showing them, you start to do classes, and you start to do like kind of a live broadcast showing people how to farm. It's something like that. So I don't know who you are. You're young. You just haven't thought about, but you're somebody who is without a father. You don't have siblings. It's just you. If you do have a sister, she's far away. She might be in school. So it's like as if everything's on you. And if you've been trying to figure out how to get out of this, I feel like if this message is for you. It's something about a co-op. It's about rentals, little small rentals to people, even like getting certain animals involved, like chickens, llamas, etc. Things that you haven't had on your land to kind of facilitate what the people from the city want. And for some reason, I'm getting Minneapolis. I don't even know where that is in the United States. I know it's in the United States, but yeah, I think that's it. Is there anybody? Caroline. Yeah, that name came out right away. Caroline. Caroline. This is a message for Caroline. What? Russet potatoes. What does that have to do? Maybe this is about the last message? No. No. Okay, maybe there's a Caroline that is just cutting russet potatoes, owns a farm of russet potatoes, maybe has a business to do with russet potatoes. I don't know why russet potatoes came out. Or maybe she identifies with russet potatoes. I don't know. That's kind of specific. But this will be the last one I do because I got to go pick up my little one soon. But thank you. She's a star. Starseed, Lyran needs confirmation. Okay, you're a Caroline. You have something to do with russet potatoes. Not only are you a star, meaning like I feel like when we were talking, because I was being brought earlier to the live that I did about how like people are scared of being seen. I feel like you're a Caroline that's scared of being seen. So not only are you a star in your own right, meaning like people gravitate to you, people want to get to know you, people want to see what you're up to. But I feel like you are also what they would call a star seed, meaning like you're somebody that doesn't originate from here. You're someone who originates from interstellar placement. And what I was hearing was Lyran, so that's a part of the star system. There's a lot of Lyrans out there, but Lyra or Lyran, and you need a confirmation, so I'm just here to say that for you. The russet potatoes has to do with your grandma. It's an inside joke or something you guys share together. Think to do with Ireland, because I heard fiddly dee potatoes. And I know that that's a joke that I know about Irish people, so it might have to do with Ireland. You were just dumbstruck, I think. I get the sense that you might even be in LA. Not that you were born in LA, that you just might have just shown up in LA. Because I keep seeing all these celebrities or these people that you're running into. Or it's like, let's say, for example, like you're doing something that involves seeing maybe you work on a set or something like that. Because I'm seeing like a set and like go-karts passing and stuff, and you're dumbstruck at all the people. But it's like as if like you feel like you're a secondary character, but that's not the case. You are the star. Like if they haven't found you yet, they will find you. So I hope that this message gets to you, because this is something you need to know, you need to feel, you need to believe, because it's kind of like you believing in this will actually like propagate. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you, but I know that if this reaches you, this is for you, Caroline. You're a writer. I'm getting like a screenwriter or something. And it's funny because I feel like this whole thing about the potatoes, there's a story behind it. You haven't written it and you haven't submitted it. But these are the types of things that showcase your life, your truth. And that's what will get picked up. It's like as if like when you stop writing for other people or what others want, you start to tap back into your innermost self, or your humbleness of self, and like where you come from, that's going to be what gets picked up more. She's in need of some serious reorganization. Her procrastination is crippling because she doesn't want to be seen. Okay, Caroline, this is your message. The procrastination is a defense mechanism so that you don't get seen. You know deep down inside you are the star. If you were to start writing about your own life back home, wherever that is, wherever that was, something to do with russet potatoes and your grandma, I feel like if you wrote that story or something to that effect, you would be seen and picked up. And realistically, it's like as this motion happens, you stay procrastinating because you want to avoid this idea of being the star. But it will happen if anything, because I think this message will find you first, or you will find other messages and that will come to pass. But congratulations, Caroline. I think you're on your way, or you will be soon enough. All right. So I'm going to stop there because, like I said, I got to go get my little one. But I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this. If you did want to learn about the shadow, the subterranean parts of our soul, if you wanted to learn about like just how fears can trigger us and where those deeper fears come from, start watching at the beginning. I did this reading at the end just as a collective reading for everyone. And I'm going to try my best as time goes on to keep doing these readings. But maybe if you guys help me out and give me some ideas or topics, or even like, you know, some things to focus on. Maybe if you want to just tap into love or tap into money or tap into certain topics, maybe we could do that too. I'm going to try everything out because I'm new at this, so I'm trying as I go. Thank you. Love you lots. Thank you to everyone who said hello, and I hope I catch you on the next one. Bye for now, guys. And